But yeah, what did you think of the choice of having him pass for something that's similar to what the actor Chadwick passed from?
Well, because he had, what was it, colon cancer or something along those lines, and I know
Yes.
it wasn't quick.
No.
Like, there's shit. I saw a thing where they were doing press for like Infinity War, End War, or something like that, and
Hmm.
they got like 20 people up on the stage,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Uh-huh.
he's nodding off,
Yeah.
and like one of the co-stars like, hey, and he's like, you okay? And he's like, you can't you're reading lips,
Yeah.
but it's like he's already starting to go downhill, and you can look even when he shows up and walks out of the portal in Endgame,
Hmm.
like he's thinned down in the face. It's already
Yeah.
affecting him, like, and it's just
Matter of fact, you could tell they reshot some stuff on the end of Wakanda for on the Black Panther on the first one when they went to go when they was getting ready to go talk to the Senate. You could tell there he looked thinner. Cause at first I didn't know he was losing weight
oh
or
no,
I thought he's losing weight
for a
maybe for a
role or
new
something.
role or something like that. But he looked thinner on that. I remember seeing it in the first movie. I'm like, he lost weight. You could tell I could tell it's a reshoot because of that. But yeah, it was just like, but you just never know. But I
And
thought
as
that.
far as like what's the appropriate way to have him go out, I think it works in two ways. I think it works because you're kind of acknowledging what actually happened to Chadwick,
Mhm.
that he died from an illness, right? But I think also anything else is more complicated to explain. Like, oh, he was fighting so and he died, and then it becomes about that as opposed to having it be the thing that actually killed Chadwick. But then we get to try and say that Suri thought she should have been able to save him. And you get to try and use that. And they didn't necessarily use it well.
To me, and I thought it was beautiful the way it was done. But to me, if they was gonna use it like that, I wish it would have been a stronger tie-in. Otherwise, I would have preferred something like on the first movie, where you get in the history of the Black Panther and it's done in this kind of like sand, kind of black sand with the glowing purple and stuff. And the son is
Right.
being told the story from his father.
Baba,
Yes, my son.
tell me a story.
Which one?
The story of home.
I would have preferred something like a little kid talking to his mother. Can you tell me a story about the Black Panther? And she talked about this heroic battle and he died in service trying to save Wakanda. You can mention Namor,
Right.
maybe not, but he died trying to protect their people and he's always with us and blah, blah, blah. And then it cuts to the 2 years later with the Queen Mother talking to the Senate.
We know what you whisper. They has lost their protector. Now is our time to strike.
I know what you guys are trying to do. You think because we don't have no king that we are weak,
Right.
that we don't hear you talking behind our back, like talking about what you're gonna do to us and all this other kind of mess. Then the movie happened, and then the end would be the tie-in when you got the reveal and you find out the child who was talking to the mom was Nakia talking to T'Challa's son. And we just didn't know that's what the conversation was. That's the mom who was telling the son about this great Black Panther that they lost trying to save Wakanda or something.
Yeah, and again, you got to set up something that is. The trick is like he has to go out in a spectacular fashion, and you have to try and imply some sort of bad guy threat.
Like I said,
And
it could
also,
be either it could be Namor or whatever. That could be the tension. He has something to do with it. Because it could have been a thing where he was trying to protect somebody else because of something Namor did, and he ended up dying. But like I said, the story, like I said, the storytelling style that they had in the first one at the beginning, like I said, with the sand and stuff, where you just kind of like, because you can't even tell who anybody really is. You just see the Black
Yeah.
Panther costume and stuff. But just some kind of narrative of a protector who died in service of.
I wouldn't
And-
mind seeing that motif come back again if they need to like gonna catch you up on some shit.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice if that was the direction that they went. I think having that be Nakia telling
Could have been a
their
callback
son.
on many levels on
Yeah.
the first one for one, and then getting the story without dying like that. I don't know. But that was powerful. But like I said, I thought it was very heavy. I still have mixed feelings about it being something similar to the actual person.
because it's disrespectful, or
Not that I think it's disrespectful, but like I said, the way I kind of took it is it's like I guess the way I said it before, and I still kind of feel the same way. It's almost like,
a little too real.
yeah,
The other thing I think in general that also makes that so difficult is the utter helplessness of the situation. Not just for Chadwick, but for the character of Suri.
yeah,
Like, you just can't do anything.
right,
Of just being placed in that position of absolute helplessness, right?
mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's what cancer does. I can understand how that makes it too real,
Yeah.
right?
And also, like I said, just as for a hero, to me that's not a heroic. Not that it has to be, and it's not like every warrior dies on the field or anything like that. But usually
But
you
when we
don't
come
see
to these stories, that's what we expect.
exactly. You know, like Tony Stark could have died from alcoholism, and we would have understood because he drank a lot, right? But he died in the service of the
He
the
could have
world.
died in his lab with some like
Right.
arc reactor malfunction.
Right, exactly. But they gave him a death where he, you know, he sacrificed himself for everybody, the universe as we know it.
And
So
he's more than just the suit.
right. So I kind of wanted more for him, for his last, his dying action or breath to be in service of Wakanda or his family or something, or you know, something, not just laid out and just, you know, off screen. He's gone from this disease or whatever that he has that even the purple herb couldn't fix, off screen dying like that. Yeah. So yeah. But was it powerful? Yes, it was powerful. Was it beautiful seeing all that brown skin and their beautiful white outfits and they're dancing and happy and I love, even though it's their culture, for it to be a celebration, and that's not quite the end, that's not death.
Right.
And even to have Shuri have a different reaction where she's, you know, she's visibly upset, she's mad, she's upset, and for her it's over. You know, it's over. She'll never see him again because she doesn't really even believe in all that stuff. She's science.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she has no outside source bigger than her to find some kind of solace. She just feels like it's just done. And she doesn't have, like I said, the beliefs to even if it's not even right, who know, well, we know it's right because we, you know. But
Right.
I thought it's very interesting that she really questioned that. I thought that was very interesting that was even a point that she even questioned that. Like, even when she did it, it's like Killmonger's thinking about, like, you know, well, you didn't even think it was even real. Like, I guess she maybe thought she's going to take the, you know, the purple herb and just, you know, have strength or whatever. But he even said, like, he didn't even think this thing was going to be real.
She probably thought the same thing she thought before, which was they hallucinated.
Mhm.
I'm going to hallucinate my ancestors, but it's not real.
Right. And so, like I said, it showed that she didn't believe because the fact that she really felt it was over, and she was mourning in that way because she felt that was really it. But since she did take it and she did see Killmonger, I'm wondering, would that take away some of her sadness and grief, since she actually knows that he's still there in a different place, and one, she'll see him again one day, or she could, you know, take more of it and go see him. I don't know. But it was interesting to see her reaction to it because of her beliefs.
Yeah, and that it tracked. It made sense, and it also didn't give her an escape for that, because they want to drive that emotional direction, that despair for her. So having her be able to go, oh well, he's with the ancestors and I'll see him someday, like, totally would undercut that.
Right.
So for them to go like, well, she's a science nerd, she probably doesn't believe that stuff. Oh, boom, there we go.
Yeah. And she's probably more in line with us than, definitely, I related to her. To me, she was my proxy more so than everybody else there. Like, I understood and I didn't judge them for celebrating and, you know, rejoicing and stuff like that. I didn't think they were silly for doing it. I thought it was beautiful and powerful, but I related to her not wanting to lose and accepting.
And I think the other thing is, like, because she's the protagonist and viewpoint character, we don't get to see really how the others are handling it. We don't get to see their weak moments, right? Because I'm sure all the main players in Wakanda, Queen Mother, M'Baku, certainly the Queen Mother, the Dora Milaje, what's her name? The head of it, I keep forgetting her name.
Akuria?
But like, there's got to be moments that they could have shown moments, you know, in that span of time where the Queen could be reassuring Suri while the Queen Mother has tears running down her own face, because yeah, he's still not here. He's still dead. He still won't go on. Like, there's still loss there, right? Even if you believe there's the other side, doesn't mean like so. It's just we didn't see that, right? They didn't put those moments on screen.
I just think it was contrasted very well in that scene in the beginning, the contrast of it, because we know for sure that Queen Mother was very emotional about it, especially when she went off on Okoria, when she was talking about, did I not lose everything? Because she was talking about, like, I lost everything. Oh, no, you know, like, I've lost everything.
I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything?
She lost her husband, she lost her son, and her daughter's missing that could be gone as well. Like, ooh, that's almost like that Lutheran speech.
So, shall we rehash that was Okoye a traitor or not? that whole debate that you guys had. It's like, how does power actually work? What counts as traitor and what doesn't? Like,
what counts as death? What counts as losing a match?
Oh man, so many wobbly bits in that whole discussion of like, well, by whose account and by which rules was he no longer the king and was Killmonger the king? And then you get into like, does that even matter? Because in the end, it's who do the power players support?
Exactly.
Because if someone usurps the throne, like, as long as they're in charge, they're not a usurper. They're the king. And it's only if they get dethroned that they're a usurper. That's false king.
That's my logic, and it's so funny that you would even bring that up, because I will say it's not one of my proudest moments, because I know I was probably being a little petty and doing a little extra on the back and forth of that conversation. But but it was a legitimate conversation. But I think I was probably leaning into my pettiness in that debate. I'm not proud of it, but it was entertaining.
I rack up the whole thing to the Queen Mother being upset and wanting it to take it out on someone.
Yes, that's what.
And she took it out on the person that got Suri lost and went on this misadventure. Calling her a traitor might have been a bit far, but she was very upset. So I think the technicality of the traitor component misses the whole point of the scene, which is, I'm very upset you lost my daughter. Like,
right. Yeah, it was definitely emotions, and considering all the stuff that she's been through and she's been holding it together, you can see that she felt that way and had that kind of, you know, that passionate stuff during that hearing. But it's almost kind of like you can almost let a loved one really have it. You save face in public, but at home is where you just kind of like, you know what, let's just, hey, you're gonna get all this.
Well, she's the queen. She's got to keep that poker face on so much more. And I feel like, honestly, like, Okoye is as close to a non-family member being family.
Yes.
And she just lost her last family member. So I get her losing her cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So yeah. So was it? Did we touch on everything? Was there anything else you wanted to touch on? I'm trying to think.
I got through all my post-it notes. I wrote out
Okay.
post-it notes to make sure. I was worried we weren't gonna have enough to talk about.
Oh, really? You and I
I only got 7 post-it notes.
Man, I had been chewing this movie in my mind so much, and just conversations and thoughts and stuff. Matter of fact, I had some notes from before, and I'm like, I kind of know my things about this movie, but I was really, really curious on your take and your thoughts on a lot of it. Like I said, you come from a different place as far as I like how you break down stuff. Because a lot of stuff, it's emotional because, we're emotional beings and we watch stuff and we get caught up because we like what we're seeing. It's the characters we're rooting for, the bad guys and good guys, right, and this, that, and spectacle and all this other kind of stuff. But then there's some fundamental stuff that all that stuff is built upon, that skeleton. And regardless of how much you like something, you never forget about that skeleton. I love that. It makes your points, even if I don't want to hear it or I don't want to agree with it, and most of the time I do anyway. But you can't knock the skeleton. You can't knock the through line logic, right, it's the that it's built upon. It's built upon, which is beautiful. So I always like to hear, and I wanted to hear because, like I said, some of the stuff I'm like, I didn't agree with. I didn't think it's cool. Like I said, me and the boys, we got into a thing about the fact of even Queen Mother even passing.
They could have done the structural thing of taking her out of play and further upsetting Shuri without actually killing her. Because also, it's not just we lose the Queen Mother, but you're losing Angela Bassett as an actress in this setting and franchise? And
she was holding that movie up.
Oh.
She had all the moments. Could you imagine that movie wouldn't have been what it was if she was in that throne room letting that guard have it?
Because there's the version of when an actor is chewing scenery and just going ham.
Yeah.
But there's another version I think where an actor takes a scene into their teeth and just thrashes that scene with every bit of acting that they've got to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And she was doing that every single scene.
Yes.
It wasn't maybe as pitched and powerful as her losing her shit with Dora Milaje, but she's fully committed and bringing her decades of experience to make her part of those scenes work.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, I understand why they did it. I think there's other things they could have did. It took a lot of air out of that movie, and she was holding up so much. That's one of the main things that caught my eye when I first was watching that movie. Just seeing her from behind and seeing her arms out, just strong, just her elegance to it, her presence. Hers was really strong, and Killmonger. Both of those folks, when they came in, I'm like, woof, okay. Oof. This is what we don't have with the rest of the characters. I'm not knocking them because I love all those characters. But Chadwick kind of had that charm. So
yes.
So you miss the person that shines. Everybody matters. Everybody kind of play their roles. Some people hold stuff together. Some people lighten the room. Some people pull people together to get serious, to tighten things up. Some people are the dreamers that get people to do more. You got the rational person when everybody's doing too much, and everybody has a piece. And strong pieces were removed, and I think that it kind of suffered because of it. Well, it doesn't mean that it just stops or anything. It doesn't mean the train stops, right, but it doesn't, it's not efficient. It's not at its max. It's not at its best possible point,
And I think I can't remember her name. I always forget it. The actress that plays Shuri.
Letitia Wright?
Yes. And I think she did a great job with, what she was given. But when she's the happy-go-lucky, determined science nerd, man, that energy is amazing. Yes. And part of it because it played off of her slightly awkward but still cool older brother. That whole vibe was amazing. And she didn't have that whole thing got muted because of what happened to her character and losing her brother, and there was so little opportunities for her to bring new energy
Yeah.
Like, she
Yeah.
can still be sad and down, but still just have a little bit of that spark occasionally to bounce off
Yeah.
other people. You
Yeah.
saw it a little bit when she went with Okoye, remembering names, to get Riri. There's a little bit of that banter,
Right.
but it just wasn't. It just didn't pop as much.
Yeah. And Riri
And again,
was not a
that's
replacement.
writing.
Yeah, and Riri wasn't
No,
a
Riri
replacement
was
for that.
not a
Even though she was supposed to be the new young energy, Riri was supposed to be the new young energy, and it was almost kind of like the bratty sibling more so than the. It's almost kind of like, you know, like with me having siblings, you have like younger siblings that get on your nerves, but you like them. They're just enough to make sure they kind of deflate you just a little bit, right? Just to offset you.
Right.
So they'll say stuff contrary, or, you know, like I said, just little stuff that Shuri did. Like when T'Challa was going for the Black Panther and is asking, does anybody want to challenge? And she was like, I will, just so I can get out this corset. You know, everybody's like, what? Wait, what? Only a kid's sister would do some mess like that. Like, you taking a serious situation and you'd be like, you know, it's almost like being at a wedding. Does anybody have any issues with this person, this union? And somebody like, yes, I like my sister-in-law more than I like my brother, or something like that, or anything. But I just missed that. And then even her flicking them off, and, you know, and the mom even knowing, like, Shuri, sorry, mother, you know, because she's like, whatever you say, or clowning his shoes or whatever, or clowning his feet. And so for her to be so serious and stuff, and that's fine, and she did fine, but a piece of that, to kind of that lighten everything, that energy, that hope, that happiness, that youthfulness, Riri didn't cover it because she's going through some stuff already herself. She was heavy and dark too, for different reasons, you know. It wasn't like she was like, now she was enthralled by the spectacle and just kind of like, wow, and you from Wakanda, and you Princess Shuri, and, you know, but she's also the same one that was, you know, hitting up people talking about, hey, where's my money for my stuff? And, you know, and her dad passed and she works in his garage and she's just kind of pulling. It was just a different kind of vibe. It wasn't innocence. Not that she had to be naive, but no. It wasn't Shuri was innocent and light in a way.
Well, you know, that would have been an interesting thing if they had used Riri as sort of a callback to what Shuri has kind of lost, right? If Riri was Shuri before she lost her brother, that vibe, that energy,
right? And
Shuri just like not being able to get back to it, but seeing it and remembering that version of herself, like that could have been an interesting thing. Yeah. But that wasn't on the page, and that wasn't given for the actress to work with. So
right, and plus it aged up the character anyway, because she'd have been 14, 15 in the comics, but in the movie she was 19, so that's a whole other vibe too. So it's only so much she could be like, hey, whoa, it's only so much that could have happened with her being aged up.
Partly they have to age her up, so she's gonna match a bunch of the other young female characters,
or also, so for her to be gone like that in a whole different world and stuff without mom constantly calling or whatever, you know, she probably
we kidnapped the child.
Right. It'd probably be a thing where the mom probably wouldn't expect to hear from her at least for a week, maybe hear from her once a week, maybe two, you know, I don't know.
This is one of those things where I feel like Ryan Coogler was given the directive to fold her into the movie and get her in her suit.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck. All right, well, if I gotta do that, then X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but I love the fight scenes. The fight scenes were better. The special effects was better. Talocan was great. Namor, they pulled that off. They did a better Aquaman story than Aquaman. I love the characters and stuff. Like I said, I just wish there was more males in there, more male energy, more black male energy. I wish Wakanda was more present. I wish that we saw a little bit more nuance in the strategies and how stuff was happening versus just stuff just happening because it needed to. I understand the need of it happening, but the way it happens is just as important.
Man, if they had brought in like the head of the water tribes, like security, right? would have been great, because then he's introducing things that Namor is going to have to overcome to get into Wakanda, and he's involved in those discussions of blah 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 blah. That,
Yeah,
boom, done.
like I said, if you got armored rhinos, I'm sure you have armored whales and stuff underwater. I'm sure.
Well, the fun thing is, with their fucking tech, they could probably have synthetic animals in the rivers. Yep, boop, done. Crocodiles.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah. But did I like the movie? Yes, I liked the movie. I liked it a lot. But my word of the evening is refinement. It needed refinement. That story needed refinement. Like I said, I it seemed like a sketch, and it's coming from a good place, I'm sure. I understand the idea of it, but it just seemed like all this stuff could have been done in a tighter way. That could be, that feels more like. Because like I said, they didn't feel like the same characters all the way, or the world that we had previously. It didn't feel like those were the same characters. Now, it wasn't as bad as Stormtroopers, but they kept being in situations that they seemed like they would be above.
Right.
And without having some kind of resolve for them. They didn't seem like it was making the opposition work for it. It didn't feel like that. And I think with someone like the Wakandans, it should be, a problem. Just like it was a problem for that task force to try to, go on that ship and take that vibranium. How that was an issue, and how it's something that they, now if those guys would have came on that ship and just went there and took out the Dora Milaje and took the vibranium or whatever and left, I would have an issue with that. But no, they countered it.
Right.
They were ahead of the game. They knew they were going to try to hit him up.
They were coming. Just gotta do more things like that all through the movie.
They were waiting in the vault. In the vault. You know how long? So they couldn't have been there too long, because there ain't no oxygen in there probably. So they told them to get in the vault and lock them in the vault. They're coming.
It's got air conditioning.
You know what I mean? So, but I'm just saying, that's how on it they are. They're in the vault waiting. That's crazy. You think about it. Open the vault and you see these bald heads walking out of the vault that somebody had to tell them to open up. Now, that's like the same place where Wakanda could get ran through by the Talikans 3 times?
Right. I would love a version of that scene where they open the vault and the Dora Milaje start coming out, and just in the background, you see one of these black ops guys just shake his head, just throw his gun down, and just turn around with his hands up. He's like, "No, we got fucking played. I'm done. Nope." Nope. Even though that would have meant I wouldn't have saw a dope fight scene, I would have took that for the comedy of it. That'd have been perfect. Oh, you still have the crazy fight scene, but you just have right before it kicks off, just in the background, you just have one guy toss the gun down and throw his hands up, just nope, don't want any. Yeah. Don't want any. I know we're fucked.
That'd be a moment. That would be a moment.
And just at the end of the fight, you just pan over, and it's just that guy's the only one standing up.
Yeah. That's
He's
funny.
just you quit quick. He's like, I can read the room.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. But yeah, so overall you dug the movie, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's just really that third act was really flat.
Yeah.
But the sad parts totally worked. It was engaging until kind of the third act. But it worked. There wasn't horribly dumb world building or anything else like that. And geez, Talo-chan was fucking amazing. Namor was great. It has lots of positives. It's just the core arc and story and delivery at the end, they didn't stick the landing.
Yeah.
They didn't stick the landing, which happens.
So when we talked and I told you what I kind of thought about it without telling you what I thought about it, did that kind of, how do you think that fared to what you saw?
So you were kind of giving me a bunch of wishy-washy stuff.
I didn't want to spoil it.
which I appreciate, truly appreciate. But like I didn't walk in there going like, I don't know, Jay was kind of iffy on this one.
Okay, good.
Like, it seems most of the time when I go walking into a movie, I have, for the most part, not a lot of expectations.
Okay.
Like, not like low expectations or high expectations, just kind of like no expectations. It's
That's
like,
fair.
kind of vaguely recall what the trailer is. Let's see what this is.
That's great.
Right? So it kind of saves me sometimes for like, I really thought it was going to be this, but it was this. And it's like, well, this is what I watched. And then sometimes it's like, well, I could see what they were trying to do and they didn't land it. Or they landed it. Right? So, yeah, thankfully your wishy-washy concerns didn't put a stink on anything. So.
Okay, good. That wasn't the yeah, good, because I wasn't trying to. I was trying to be fair. I was trying to share kind of my vibe of it, but I did enjoy the movie. And depending on what movie it is, I think what really got me, that kind of even had me feeling, because really it shouldn't. I didn't understand how it was going to work anyway. And if it was in anybody else's hands, I don't think it would have worked, especially considering how quick the turnaround was. But it was kind of like in Coogler, I trust. So I gave it a little bit more leeway, and then I saw that trailer, and that really affected me in a strong way. So so I didn't have my clean slate like I usually like to have, and so I didn't really have my clean slate, expectations kind of at a reasonable spot until I saw it the second time. So sometimes with movies that I'm excited about, I can't help but be kind of hoping for more. So like I said, on my second viewing, I think I saw it with different eyes in a way, but I still had the same issues I had before, but I didn't take them as bad as I did the first time. But that's just how it goes. I just want to enjoy movies. I just want movies to be good, and I do think sometimes there be people out there dogging movies just because they want to dog them, or they want controversy, or they want to sound cool talking bad about something or whatever. And if people do that, that's their thing or whatever. But I honestly go to movies to see movies I think I'm going to enjoy. And this has been an interesting year of me checking out movies that just really surprised me, that I really caught me off guard, and they wasn't even superhero movies really. I think my favorite superhero movie this year would have been the Spider-Man movie. I think that was that's easy. That and then Batman, but then there's so many other movies I really like.
That's a tough choice.
Yeah, definitely different kind of movies. Definitely different kind of movies.
I think that's the thing that's so difficult sometimes. Like, what's the best of best at what? Exactly. Because even though they're superhero movies, you can have wildly different genres. So yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of both of those. Those are amazing.
Yeah, they're very, very good.
And listeners, if you haven't already, you can go back and listen to those episodes where we talk about them.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Very good conversations. Very good conversation. Matter of fact, yeah. Definitely go back and check out. We had a slew of conversations. We don't just talk about Star Wars stuff, even though the majority of it is, and I think it's great. But yeah, we do dig in a couple of movies, Batman, of course, and then also Spider-Man, of course. Yeah, man, it's just...
The Batman is so fucking good.
Yes.
So fucking good on a technical, storytelling, cinematography level.
It's so good. It's a smart movie. It's a smart movie. Very smart. All right, man. So it was great catching up. Great talking about this movie.
As always.
Yeah, as always. Once again, happy holidays to you. And we're going to have another year of...
Good luck surviving New Year's.
You too. You too. And we'll have more movie reviews and shows to come in the new year. And just truly thank you for your friendship and for your insight and your time. I know you have a family and a young one and stuff like that, and you always work it out. I know a lot of times we go back and forth with trying to set up stuff and all that, but just thanks for saying yes in the first place, and for this just to be a thing that would start off as a one-off thing, as a conversation with a person I thought would have some cool stuff to say, turn into all these great conversations, all these great insights and interpretation of the shows and stuff that we watch and movies we watch. It started.
I look forward to doing this.
Yeah, it started and it continued. How many people could say that? We got so many episodes under our belts. Yeah, like just thank you for saying yes and showing up and making it happen. You never know how it's going to be or how things are going to go, and if the chemistry is going to be right or anything like that. Or because it's funny because we never really, now as a group, we go back and forth. Jose and Eric and Hanif and Gerald and stuff. And we go back in our little tech stuff. And when we go to movies together, we kind of talk or whatever. But just like me and you one-on-one, we never really had that kind of, we never really did that, and like on a normal basis. Like, we know each other for years, but we never really did that. And so I think it's just, I'm not surprised, but I think it's just very interesting that, for that not to be necessarily. I think
I could look back. I could look back to a specific moment where I'm like, this was an indication that something like this could happen, and it's after we all went and saw Miss Marvel, and we went down to that bar, and we had a discussion among peers that was heated.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. Like I said, I shouldn't be surprised, but like I said, a pleasant surprise on what became of it, So the podcasting thing being new for me and me trying it and going for it, and to, like I said, to extend and you say yes and come through every time, and very thankful for that. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to our next conversation, wherever it may be, and it could vary. The range is out there.
Well, whenever it is, I look forward to it.
Yeah, my conversations with you invented the tangent, not the tangent, but just the tangent of what I commonly use now for different episodes. But just our conversations just kind of tightly connected to the conversation, but definitely necessarily not the topic. Like, yeah.
I'm proud to have a hand in that.
Yeah. So that tangent that started here. It was brilliantly started here. And like I said, but that's just when you have good people with good insight, with good conversations, that even the leftover scraps is a brilliant meal if it's served correctly. And so, yeah. I guess that's it, man. Yeah. I appreciate you as my brother. Thank you so much. I guess that's it.
Considering it's 1 a.m., yeah.
It better be it. All right. So that was Jay and Ryan discussing Wakanda Forever, our thoughts, reviews, and discussions. Until next time, peace.
Out.
Wakanda Forever.
There you go.
Dad jokes.
I'm rubbing off on you.
That's right. Thanks for listening, and please like and subscribe. Be sure to check out past and future episodes of this show, along with my other shows entitled The Movie Bench Quarterbacking Podcast and The J and Podcast, available now on all streaming platforms. Until next time, peace.